Hi Joel, how are you? For me, it's a pleasure to talk with you in Argentina. A couple of weeks to start the World Cup in France. How do you see a South African team now, and how is your appreciation for the next World Cup?
Xavier, thanks very much, man. Lovely to be chatting, and certainly exciting times, isn't it? Rugby World Cup just a short while away, and excitement building. Excitement and a bit of trepidation, because I think we've seen in some of the warm-up games a number of injuries, a number of red cards. Everything keeps on changing. It's difficult time for the players, I think, as they prepare with the risks at stake in the warm-up games. Difficult time for the coaches, and certainly an exciting time for all of us, the fans. It is kind of exciting. I think it is quite an open Rugby World Cup. There's a lot of strong teams. There's a lot of teams that have shown that on any day they can beat any other side. Argentina, one of them for certain. And of course, the way the draw is done, I would say too far in advance. It means the one side of the World Cup looks a little bit easier than the other side. So maybe a bit of imbalance there. So certainly an interesting time. I think for us as South Africans, we were a little worried, a little concerned. We haven't played our best in the last few weeks. We were not good against the All Blacks. We should have lost at home to Argentina. I thought we came back the next week and we were very good in Argentina, but we certainly could have and should have lost at home. We've had a couple of injuries. No Andre Pollard at the moment. There is a conspiracy that somehow they'll sneak him back into the squad if he's fit. But that, I guess, would be breaking the laws or certainly bending them. So we'll see what happens there. But we have a good side. We have a big, strong, powerful side. We play the right brand of rugby for Rugby World Cup. And we'll have a tough World Cup. And if you can come through the tough parts of the World Cup, you're better prepared for the knockout stages. So we're still very positive.
Okay, the Springboks are a team so strong with a fast game, a fast players with guys like Edsebet or another was amazing in the strong in the power. How do you see the South African team?
So I think you've summed it up really. We are a powerful team. We're a big side. We have a big, strong pack of forwards that bullies the opposition, that uses at times, physical strength, brutal physical strength. It's not always pretty, but it is effective. Rugby World Cups are about handling the pressure and dealing with the mind as well as the body and the opposition. And I think we're set up to do that. Our game is quite simple. We kick a lot. We force the opposition to make mistakes. We have that big, strong pack of forwards that scrums well. The line-out is strong. The maul has been good at times. We're strong at the breakdown, and we're very physical. We have a strong defense and a strong kicking game. We're very hard to break down. We're very hard to beat. We don't score a lot of great tries in a tight game. We don't build, continuity. We don't go through 20 phases and score pretty tries. We rely a little bit on individual brilliance and that brute force. But we have the brilliance. We have a lot of fine players. We have a lot of great players. We have exciting backs who given a little bit of space, they will capitalize and they'll go through and score. So our big weakness right now probably is our goal kicking. It's the one area we're a little bit worried about. And then, to your point, if you have likes of Eben Etzebeth, Peter Steph Dutoy, and a strong bench that we can bring on a front row in the second half, that's almost as strong as the front row that starts. It's a wonderful place to be. We are set up for Rugby World Cup, but and I say a big but. When teams match us physically, like Argentina did in South Africa, and the All Blacks did in New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, then we don't have another way, I don't believe, right now. We have another way, but we're not good at it yet to chase the game and change things and play a different game plan.
Okay, and the Argentinian team would take a good head coach, with young guys. How is your opinion about Los Pumas?
So I think they're a big threat. I think it'll be difficult for them to win the World Cup. You know, I think to win the World Cup, you need to have that. Firstly, you need great depth, and Argentina have got a lot of good players. But I think if you have one or two injuries, I think you might miss one or two players more. So I don't know if the depth is quite there. And then you know they're a team that sometimes blow a little bit hot and cold. They play really well one week against the Springboks. Perfect example. Here in South Africa, they were outstanding and should have won. They missed a few kicks. Inside the Springboks scored almost an intercept type try, and somehow the Springboks won a game they should have lost. Then the week after in Argentina, the Argentina team were not good at all, and the Springbok team looked like world beaters. Where actually I thought before the game we might lose. I thought we should have lost if Argentina played as well as they played the week before. So I think that inconsistency is a problem. But on their day, they've shown they can beat the All Blacks in New Zealand. They can beat Australia away. They can beat the Springboks. They beat England at Twickenham. On their day, they are a formidable side. The big question for Argentina is, can they do it? 2 big pool games, a quarterfinal, a massive semi-final, and then a final. It'll be tough for them, I think.
Okay. I read today that Romain Ntamack is out of the World Cup with a knee injury. How do you see France? Because it's a local team, but all the pressure will be in this team.
Very much so. Very much so. And it's a big blow if Ntamack is out. I think Ntamack is I think they can still win the Rugby World Cup without Ntamack. I think if it was Dupont who was out, we would be even more concerned for them. For me, the last few weeks have not looked good. They could well have lost twice to Scotland. They play a lot with the selection and their best team. I'm not sure who their best starting lineup is. And to your point, they have massive pressure at home. There's nothing worse than going into the Rugby World Cup as the favourites because the expectation is massive, particularly at home, and that's the challenge they face. And then of course, on the side of the draw, they will face South Africa or Ireland in the quarterfinal, maybe even Scotland again, if Scotland can somehow find a way past South Africa or Ireland or both. It's going to be unbelievably tough. But they are a good side, and at home they play well. And when they pick their full strength team, they're very, very difficult to beat, particularly with Dupont at scrum half.
Okay, yes, of course. Joe, back to the past. I think in 1995 your drop goal, the final against New Zealand with Nelson Mandela, like a great man in Ellis Park. How do you remember these times? Because was a legend for you, for the Springboks, for the country.
It was a great time for us, wasn't it? It was a great time for us as rugby players. It was a period, I think at the time politically, where there was a lot of uncertainty. So off the field, you know, it was a testing time off the field, but it was a time that rugby helped us as a country through the actions of Madiba, the great man, and what a wonderful man he was. What a great leader. What an incredible human being. Through his actions, he used sport to bring a nation together, you know. So it was a period of change for us. And I'd love to claim, you know, us as players, we were aware of, you know, the impact and how it would change all our lives as South Africans. We weren't. We did go out and play this game we loved. It's a beautiful game. And I think after the World Cup, we realized maybe a little bit more, you know, the impact we'd had on our country, the way Madiba had embraced us, and in doing so brought, you know, 11 or 9 cultures together, different cultures together, and merged us into one nation that could move forward and put the past behind in some form or another. Special time for us, and really privileged to have played a little part.
One country and one nation was real in this moment to the future.
It was definitely real. It was something we ate slept, we lived it, and Madiba helped us grow and nurture that thought process. I think in years post the Rugby World Cup, in fact, in 1996, the South African soccer team won the African Cup of Nations. So that one team, one country went another year. And then I think we had some dramas and political issues, and like all countries do, we went through the highs and the lows, and the one team, one country, I think, faded a little bit. But there's no doubt it was back in 2019. The support for the Springboks at the Rugby World Cup in Japan, the way Siya Kolisi led us as a nation and brought us all together again, and will hopefully do so again this year in 2023. Special, sport is a wonderful thing. It brings people together, and it is unbelievably special. Hopefully, this is a special time again for us coming soon.
The last, Joel, for me is a pleasure to talk with you. I want to tell me the game when Jos van der Westhuizen have the ball to you to drop goal against New Zealand in the final. How can you tell me this play?
So that's a question I'm asked often, and it was an interesting story. So, we had some great running outside backs. Andre Joubert, fullback, the Rolls Royce of fullbacks, we used to call him. We had James Small on the one side and Chester Williams on the other. Really a dynamic player. And in that, and you touched on US, in that base of the scrum slot, in terms of attacking players, we had Rudolph Strali, really quick off the mark, big, strong, and powerful, drew in lots of defenders, and of course Yost. So we called a back row move, trying to make use of all that skill set, all the strength, the speed, the power. And when the scrum went down, I could see the All Blacks had lined up. They knew what we were going to do. But what it meant is, because they'd stacked that side, there was the opportunity to kick the drop goal. And call to Yost, we changed the call, and the ball came back. And fortunately, the kick went over, and the rest is history, as they say.
So for me, it's a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you for this minute from Argentina. And a great appreciate for you in my country. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you very much. Lovely chatting. I'm sorry it took us so long before we actually got to do this. And lastly, I would say, I'm a fan of the Argentinian rugby team and the way Michael Check has gone about things with your team and the rugby they play. And I would love to see them do really well at the World Cup. So also Argentina as well.